Hi everyone, it's Eli. You know how sometimes you stumble upon something truly game-changing in healthcare? Well, I found it. KinetiSense. This cutting-edge motion capture technology is transforming movement, assessment, and recovery. Imagine getting instant AI-driven insights without any wearables on your patient. That's right, no ping pong balls needed. Just pure, accurate data. Perfect for boosting athletic performance, pinpointing imbalances, and refining rehab. Top professionals worldwide trust KinetiSense to maximize productivity and results. Check out our partner page to learn more. Experience the revolution in movement. Welcome to Wrap It Up Sports Medicine and More, the podcast that gives you a viewpoint in sports medicine that can't be found anywhere else. I'm your host, Eli Halleck, and we have a fantastic show ahead of us today. So, let's get started. Welcome back to Wrap It Up Sports Medicine and More. Real excited about today's conversation. We've got a longtime colleague and friend in-house, Dr. Christopher Schmidt, who is the education lead and director of faculty support at ATU. Chris, thanks for being here. I appreciate it. It's great to see you.
Great to see you, Eli. Thanks for this. Thanks for the opportunity. Great to be here.
Oh, you kidding? Always fun to talk. We have a blast whenever we do talk. So this was a no-brainer. This is kind of fun to have you here. You've had a very interesting career. I mean, you really have. So you've taken it to 3 different positions. I'm sure a lot of athletic trainers have kind of gone that route, but it's very unique what you did, how you got there, and what you're doing now. And we would really like to introduce your path to our listeners today. So if you want to start maybe talking about your clinical experience and then maybe your, the education background and then where you are today, I think it'd be very valuable to a lot of people out there.
Okay. Yeah, sounds good. Well, like most folks getting into athletic training, sports medicine, I wanted to be a clinician. It started way back when, in the high school days, getting towards the end of high school and trying to think about what's next, colleges, majors, careers, and I was really good at science and those types of courses, really enjoyed that. And I also enjoyed sport, athletics, physical activity, not being blessed per se with athletic talent by any stretch, but the combination of those two. So science and athletics. A lot of my friends were athletes, and so I was helping and working kind of on the sidelines and things. And so it gets to that point towards the end of high school and thinking about, again, majors and colleges. And we were fortunate enough to have an athletic trainer at our high school that was hired by the athletic booster club for Friday night football games and then a couple other days during the week. And so, again, getting to that point of, okay, what's next after graduation, observing the athletic trainer and then shadowing and being able to volunteer and do some things there. And so got bit by the bug, the athletic training bug, as a lot of folks have been. And I was fortunate enough also to go to a Kramer sports medicine camp back in the day.
Oh my God, I remember those. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So, like a weekend sports med camp with other high school students and staff and athletic trainers. And so developing a skill set, and thinking, yeah, this is really what I wanted to do. And so with that kind of excitement, I went to Whittier College as an undergrad, and it was an internship program. So we did, the 1,500 clinical hours, hands-on, classroom, education, and took the BOC exam. Again, back when the BOC was three parts, and written simulation and the hands-on.
No stress at all being called out in the middle of exam. Chris Schmidt, come do a practical with me in the middle of that exam. Just flip it over. Don't worry. Don't worry about those
Exactly.
200 questions. Just come with me.
Right, right. So you really gotta, change your mindset. I gotta switch now from really, brainiac academic to doing some hands-on things. So from there, actually went on to graduate school at the University of Arizona, where I was a graduate assistant, but assigned to a secondary school at the south side of Tucson. So I was a secondary school athletic trainer for 2 years. And, Eli, bless you, your colleagues, everyone working in that secondary school setting. I really believe that I grew up as an athletic trainer at the secondary school level. It was, I was the Lone Ranger, the one man band. It was me and then nobody else,
That's
right?
it. It was, and that's how it is for many of us. I'm fortunate. So,
Yeah,
and I know that.
yeah, yeah. So I grew up there, making decisions but also having peers and faculty to bounce ideas off of and offer support. And it was just a really rich time for me personally and professionally. The people that I went to school with and graduated with were still close, and just that nice supporting system. So 2 years there in that program, and then I jumped into clinical practice. I went back to Whittier College, was an assistant athletic trainer there for a couple years, and then moved up to the head athletic trainer position. So I was, I think, 27, 28 years old by that time.
27, 28, head athletic trainer at a university.
Yeah,
Congrats. Wow.
yeah. It just,
Fast
I've been
track.
I've been blessed, really, and doors open and great opportunities, and have landed on my feet multiple times. So while I was at Whittier College, I was primarily a staff position. So clinical practice, getting hands dirty, patient care, all those great things. But along with that position came some teaching responsibility. Teaching some care and prevention classes, teaching first aid, CPR, some of those things, which is how I learned back when I was an undergrad at the same institution. So I was really starting to dabble in both worlds, clinical practice and then it being in the classroom. Getting to, 27, 28 years old and having a couple responsibilities and jobs there, and looking at the workload, and then of course salary and benefits challenges, and you're like, okay, great, I've reached this sort of area of my life. Is this what I want to do? Are there other opportunities? Honestly, I am an educator at heart. I come from a family of educators. Both my parents were teachers. My dad actually was a college professor in chemistry. I'm not a chemist. I took one class in high school, got a C, thankfully, and passed.
Jumped out of chem as quickly as possible. I understand that myself.
Yes, exactly, exactly. But I got the, teaching bug, and that was kind of, what we did as a family. And so looking at what are the possible career pathways, I knew I wanted to pursue my terminal degree, a doctoral degree in something. When you look at those two jobs, clinical practice and education, like I really found my strengths and passions and coming alive in the classroom. Not to say clinical practice and patient care wasn't, but with that role conflict that I know a lot of us have, you struggle with, well, oh, I got to prepare for class. But I've got rehab and we want to do this great stuff and we're traveling and we're going, I've had so many great opportunities through athletics to see the world, to do different things. I volunteered at the Olympics in Atlanta in 1996, right? The centennial. So I've had
Oh,
these
wow.
wonderful
That's cool.
experiences.
Very cool.
Yeah, yeah, and and connecting with colleagues from other countries, physios around the world, and just really rich relationships. But you're like, oh, I can't do both. I just don't have the capacity, the energy, to do both. And so, gosh, this is around 2000 now. A job opened up at Azusa Pacific University here in Southern California, primarily for a teaching position. There were still some dual role responsibilities, but I knew again I wanted to jump in the classroom, and they were getting the program moving to an accredited program at APU around that time, and had hired some really great faculty. And so I joined that team. And one of the nice benefits about the university and supporting their faculty is some tuition benefit programs. So you're on contract as faculty member. We want you to pursue your doctorate. You want to pursue it. We're going to support you with some tuition benefits. And so,
which is nice because the doctoral program is not inexpensive at all. It takes
no,
a bite. It really
right.
does.
It really does. Yeah, expensive, and from a financial perspective as well as time. And a lot of
God,
doctoral
yes, yes.
programs, yeah, want you to be there full time, working in the lab or teaching in their courses. It's like, well, I can't leave my full-time job, right?
How am I
So,
going to pay for this if
uh,
I'm there with you? Yeah,
exactly,
totally.
exactly. So I found a good program at the University of Southern Mississippi in Hattiesburg that it really has a rich history of educating athletic training educators. And it was a summer only with some hybrid, distance education options at that time. So I had a full-time job at APU and pursuing my PhD, kind of onto the side. Um, and then the next 20 years I was at APU and rose through the ranks of faculty and was doing some clinical practice there as well, and became program director for a period of about 10 to 12 years. And then fast forward to about, well, past COVID. So we survived thanks to the support of colleagues. I wasn't program director at that time, but we had a great team there. And then in about spring of 2022, I left the university. That was an opportunity. I look back at that, and as hard as it was to leave the university, and a lot of institutions and universities are suffering and facing financial challenges. So I was I guess, casualty of some financial budget issues. I wasn't the only one. There were a lot of long time established people that it was a really tough decision about renewing contracts and all that kind of stuff.
And at the same time, it wasn't just you that suffered. At the end, it was other colleagues. But
True.
then, really disappointing later, the program. Uh,
True.
a
Yes.
year or two later, they closed the program because of
Right.
financials, right?
Right. Yeah. And so, when we look at the economics of what we do and what we teach, it is challenging. And that's one of the things that we can talk about with ATU. We wanted to be able to provide access and not be a financial burden or a barrier to students, to programs, to faculty and what we provide, because we've seen it on the flip side, right? We've been program directors, faculty, making tough decisions about, do I hire this person? Do we renew contracts? Do I accept this student and I know they've got financial aid challenges, right? Yeah, it was really tough. But again, looking back, hindsight being 2020, I think it really a blessing. And another example where I've been fortunate enough to be surrounded by great colleagues and I've landed on my feet. So a colleague of mine in the physical therapy department at APU, Dr. Mike Wong, about 10 years ago started a company that he branded PhysioU. And so PhysioU, primarily the focus is to support professional education programs in physical therapy. And now with COVID, we branched a couple of different directions. But so he brought me on to be the liaison, the education lead for athletic training. And so my role as education lead, it's kind of twofold. One is a content expert. So again, having a now almost 30-year career in athletic training education, it's like I know this content, and I'm solid there. And then there's opportunity, more of a marketing and business and faculty support perspective to help my colleagues, my peers, my friends use these resources so that they can reduce their workload, but then up their game, if you will, in teaching and learning. So, yeah, it's been quite a circuitous route, like most people have, quite a journey from clinical practice to education, and then now in this sort of Still education, but also a marketing, business, strategic kind of role. It's been quite a ride for sure.
Now you said, and just wow, because I lived part of it with you. I mean,
Dude,
we've known each other for a couple decades now,
right.
and had some very good interactions and experiences over the years, of course. But got a question. So,
Yeah.
which high school did you go to?
I went to California High School in Whittier.
And who was the
Uh,
athletic trainer that introduced you
yeah.
to what became your future?
Yeah. His name was Mark Kawasaki.
Oh
So
yeah,
shout out to
yeah.
Mark.
Okay.
Yeah. And he worked at a clinic locally in La Habra, I think it was, called CoStar. It was Center Orthopedic Sports Therapy and Rehab. And it was a group of orthopedic surgeons who opened the clinic and then, hired Mark as one of the athletic trainers to then do outreach. And this was the early 90s,
Yeah.
so outreach athletic training was in its infancy, but the parent teacher organization or athletics booster clubs hired him. And then I was like, wow, that's cool. I want to do what you do, right? And he really took me under his wing and taught me some skills and some taping and took me to my first I think Far West Athletic Trainers
Oh,
Association
that's
meeting.
so awesome. That's
Yeah.
so awesome.
Yeah. So it was really cool.
I want to say I came across him. I did a stint at Orthopedic Surgery Sports Medicine, OSSM,
Awesome.
in Orange County,
Uh-huh.
down near Brea. I forget our exact location, but I worked at Brea Linda High School for
Oh,
a heartbeat. And I want to say that's where I met him in playing different games and introductions before and after. What do we call those now? The introductions before the game, the medical timeout.
medical timeouts,
Back
right?
then it was just, hey, how you doing? Here's what we do.
Exactly.
Didn't have a
Yeah.
name, but
Exactly.
I
Yeah.
remember him. He was a really nice person.
Oh yeah. Yeah. And I remember, talking to him, and he was a great mentor. I'm just this green, naive high school kid, and he's like, "Oh, you get bit by this bug, you will not work a day the rest of your life.
Yep.
It's a
Yep.
kick in the pants every
Yep.
day, something new, you're gonna love it." And I thought, wow, to have that kind of mentality
Yep.
for a career is like, I don't want to be in an office and sit behind a desk and just, punch a clock. Like, I want to do that, right? That looks cool. And so
My wife teases me. You get paid to watch sports. I'm like, yeah, baby, I shall as well.
shh, don't tell anybody, right? It's like,
Yeah, quiet, quiet.
yeah. So that was a great launch, a great beginning.
Now at Whittier College, I actually know their program a little bit. When I was at Humboldt State University, which now no longer has a program, unfortunately, we stole the head athletic trainer
Yes, you did.
from
From Whittier.
Whittier. Do
Yeah.
you remember that gentleman's name?
Yes. Mike Davis.
There we go, Mike Davis. Yeah, without him, I don't get through a program. That's so funny. I never knew that about you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mike,
So he left when I started.
okay.
He had gotten the opportunity, I think, at Humboldt. Maybe it was some family connection or from there. There was something up there.
I don't know why most people go up to Humboldt. I mean, I loved it for 4 years, but to see
Yeah.
this guy come in my second year and I'm looking at him going, dude, you left Whittier for this? I mean, do you like the great outdoors? You like camping? You like fishing? What's going on?
Yeah.
What a
Yeah.
great guy, though. Oh my
Oh
God.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And when I was a senior in high school and exploring colleges, and I also looked at Chapman, right?
Oh, what
Another
a great
strong,
program.
strong program.
And unfortunately, another closed program. So
Ex-
disappointing.
Right. Yeah. So I had the opportunity to explore Chapman's program, and it was between a couple of really good choices, tough choices. But I did meet Mike Davis at Whittier, and he's like, "Yep, come on board. We'll get you jumped in. You can start doing some stuff right away. You don't have to wait a couple of years to be in the classroom before start be on the sidelines." And that's what I was used to doing at the high school, right? I was like, okay, Friday night, we're getting the team ready and I'm working with Mark and doing all this kind of stuff. That was a really great opportunity. And then I think Mike's connection with Whittier may have been through the University of Arizona somehow. So then our next athletic trainer at Whittier was a gentleman by the name of Bob Harris, and he went to
Of
Chico
course.
Chico
Of course.
State, I think, after, and then went into athletic administration and athletic director. And then the next athletic trainer at Whittier was Steve Gabaldon, who was really my another mentor of mine in college. But they all had the connection of Arizona. So when I was graduating from Whittier, then Steve had said, "Hey, if you're interested in your master's degree, why don't you look at Arizona, and I, can make some calls and that sort of thing." So I was looking at Arizona and also looking at the University of Oregon, another strong program. So as again, I've just been so fortunate with my opportunities and the relationships and the people, and I try and pass this along to my students when I was in the program. And it's all about who you know and what they know about you, and
And
relationships and reputation. So
a word that comes back every episode, your network.
your network,
That's what it is.
100%.
It comes back. Never burn a bridge
No,
because it's too small of an industry. We all know each other at some point or know someone that knows each other.
exactly.
So yeah,
Exactly.
but
Yes.
you
So,
really illustrate to so many how important it is and how close knit
mhm.
our our education system is,
Yeah.
our clinical experiences are,
Yeah.
and just our network. It's
Our
tight.
network.
It's
It
really
is.
tight.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
Mm-hmm.
the fact you rattled off E. Mike Davis, I'm like, holy crap, no one knows him unless you're up in NorCal.
Right.
Because he went from Whittier, and that was mid '90s, early '90s,
Yeah.
jumped up
Mhm.
to Humboldt State
Mhm.
for I think 10 years or so,
Yeah.
and then moved over to, I believe it was Shasta Community College, and
Okay.
stayed there through his retirement.
Okay.
And I think he just retired maybe 5, 6 years ago. Just
Wow.
I
Wow.
could be wrong.
Good.
Somebody could email us and tell me if I'm wrong, but tell Mike
Good.
thank you. It's
Yes.
Mike's fault. I'm an athletic trainer because he signed the document saying, "Yep, go right
Right.
ahead. He can take the test."
Yeah. And I think he and I interacted, I don't know, maybe it was a day or two when I was looking at colleges. And then when I started as a freshman, he had gone to Humboldt. But the impact that he had made on, the athletic department, the coaching staff, it was, and then I think Bob Harris was the athletic trainer that I started with as a freshman. That was the benchmark, right? And so I'm sure he had made that same impression and reputation on the other places that he's been. But yeah, the athletic training tree has many branches.
Yep. And they all come back to one trunk. So
Yeah,
don't
right.
forget that.
That's true.
That's too funny. Too funny. Small world, small world.
Definitely, yeah.
If you don't mind me asking, what type of doctorate and in what area of expertise did you get?
I have a PhD in human performance and recreation with an emphasis area in administration and teaching. So that was the program at Southern Miss. Many athletic training educators had gone through that program. So if anyone's an alum, shout out to Southern Miss, to the top. That's kind of their their rallying cry. But I wanted to find a program that would support my current full-time job, which was teaching and administration. And I was trained as a clinician, as many of us, that's how we start. But my role was much more administrative and education. I had no curricular design background, no pedagogy, didn't understand any of that in any of my previous degrees at undergrad or graduate, right? And so having the opportunity to get a PhD provided that opportunity. The timing, cost savings as a state institution in Mississippi was financially feasible. The reputation, we could tailor our work and our curriculum to what was most meaningful to us in our current employment. So, yeah, PhD in human performance and recreation with an emphasis in admin and teaching.
I'm on their site now, seeing if they still have that actually.
Yeah, that's a good. They've had some changes. I think now they're in the College of Health. But so here's another 6 degrees of separation. While I was at APU, part of my workload was clinical practice with women's volleyball. I had women's volleyball and cross country, also did some things with baseball and tennis. But I would travel and went up to Fresno Pacific and a colleague of mine up there, Jim Ave, was the athletic trainer, and I think he's now in graduate program director in education and things. He had started the program at Southern Miss, kind of doing the same thing, part time there, full time, back at the university. And so, as we do in the medical timeout beforehand or afterwards, like just chatting with everybody, it's like, oh, I want to pursue my doctorate. This is what I want to do. And he's like, have you checked out Southern Mississippi? And so that kind of got us started down that pathway. So again, relationships, networking,
They all pay off at some point. They
they
really
all pay
do.
off. Yes, they
They
do.
really do. They really
Yeah.
do. Got our PhD. We hit COVID.
Mm,
Many schools go into that financial, go off that financial cliff that
yeah.
we've witnessed, been part of.
Yeah.
High schools, private high schools like myself, that was a fun cliff to maneuver, jump around, jump off of, and try and survive.
Yeah.
And not everything did, and I know that was a rough time. We had talked multiple times, but like you said, hindsight's 2020. What a blessing
Mm-hmm.
to
Mm-hmm.
connect with Dr. Wong,
Yep.
Mike,
Yeah.
and ATU.
Yeah.
Now, for those of you who don't know what ATU is, it is a educational, I would say app is the best way to describe it. It's
Mm-hmm.
almost like having a clinical book in an app
Yeah.
for you to use with your students or yourself, or to, instead of going on Google and going, well, is that video right?
Yeah.
Let's check this out, because they use everything from a scientific standpoint. They make sure that everything is correct and has been proven, and have made sure that there are subsequent.
Yeah, like the evidence-based, right?
Thank
Oh.
you. Evidence based. That is my, sometimes I just can't spit out that word. It doesn't roll off the tongue well. Most of us clinicians hate that term. But that's a different story and a different episode we'll get into.
Right, right,
But
right.
the nice
Yeah.
thing is, it has that evidence based notation, so
Mm-hmm.
you know it's correct. So
Right.
let's talk about ATU. We're
Sure.
starting to use it in my high school setting,
Yeah.
and let people know this is kind of a really neat app and a real neat way to improve your clinical aspect.
Yeah. Yeah. So it really does start for ATU back in COVID. As I mentioned before, it had a previous continuing history in physical therapy education as PhysioU. So Mike Wong, about 10 years ago, was recognizing, as a lot of us have, when we're demonstrating a skill in class or talking about a concept in class, phones pop up. Hey, can I record this? Can I take pictures? Do you have a video that I can see? And so he recognized the changing nature of the classroom and the changing nature of the learner today, that the go-to resource is not going to be the volume of text that a lot of us learn from, right? And so, okay, here's an opportunity. Well, let's do this. And he started out with an orthopedic app, and he started out with low back, lumbar spine, and said, hey, could we compile all of the special tests, all of the therapeutic exercises, all of the movement faults, manual therapies, right, for lumbar spine, dial that in. He recorded it in a lab at the university with a green screen and, all that kind of stuff. And then he just went from there for different body regions. And once you perfect like one, then replicating becomes, magic. And then so, okay, we've got a nice orthopedic app, body region, head to toe, that connects all the dots from prevalence data, epidemiology, signs and symptoms, observation, special tests, movement faults, manual therapy, therapeutic. I mean, just the list goes on, right? So the orthopedics app, and it is still in ATU. That's the mothership. That's where everything began. That's the root of the tree. Eli,
That's kind of cool. I didn't know that.
yeah, yeah. And it can be overwhelming just a little bit because everything is there. And that's been, maybe we can talk about it now. That's been some of the challenge in entry level professional education. And that's how I was raised. Everything was taught in silos. here is your assessment class. And I taught this for, the first 10 years of my career at APU. I taught orthopedic assessment. I actually taught it all head to toe in one semester, 16 weeks, undergrad.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
We
Yeah.
met 6 hours a week, lecture and lab, right? And then it's like going to conferences, talking to other educators. I think a body region approach is probably better, because I would have students that would come up to me saying, Dr. Schmidt, great. Now I know how to evaluate the ankle. What do I do next? And I would say, that's next semester. You're going to have Professor so and so, and you're going to learn that. And they're like, but I'm going to clinic this afternoon and I need to know, what to do.
Elevate your knowledge, ignite your curiosity, and compete with the best minds at events hosted by the American Academic Competition Institute. AACI's sports medicine competitions feature practical exercises, challenging quizzes, specialty tests, and keynote speakers that foster knowledge and social engagement in healthcare and sports medicine. Go to aacitest.org for more information on upcoming regional and national competitions. Sign up for the ultimate intellectual showdown.
So the light bulb, the aha for me and my faculty colleagues, and I'm sure others that are listening, was like our education, how we teach students should really mirror what they're going to do in clinical practice. You're like, what? That's cool. Okay, how do we change our curriculum and how do we change our teaching approach to do that? So all that to say, the orthopedics app connects those dots, but sometimes that's a bridge too far for people. And so we do have an app for special tests. That's just special tests. We do have an app just for range of motion, manual muscle testing, palpation. That's all it does. We have an app for surface anatomy palpation, which was actually designed by a clinician and a medical artist. So they've drawn the structure on a live model. So you can see the palpations, right? So
I absolutely love those parts too, as I'm watching the videos and you see everything move that they've drawn. It's fantastic, really helpful.
yeah, because we have to recognize as educators that that student may not be ready to swim in the deep waters, right? I need to give them the floaties. I need to put them in the kiddie pool first. I need to tell them, like going back to swimming 101. Okay, let's get in the water. How does that feel? How do we hold our breath? How do we float, right? So I need to scaffold these skills for the student step by step, but I also need to move them along. They shouldn't live there, right? They shouldn't stay there.
They shouldn't stay at the foundation. They got to work their way up.
Absolutely.
Definitely.
Absolutely. And so we've got resources now in ATU that help students and faculty grow and develop. So it's very exciting.
So now when you say apps, and just to give everybody an idea, I'm on the website looking at it, and I've been on the website multiple times.
Yeah.
atu.health is the website. And when he says app, so it's a website and then it opens up, and yeah, it looks like my iPhone, and it has multiple little apps that I can, acute care setting, exercise patterns, gait training, lines and tubes.
Yeah.
PNF. God, love that.
Yeah.
Pediatric gait VR. Now, is that virtual or pediatric?
It is.
Really? Oh, that's kind of neat.
Yes. Yep. So
I'll have to jump in that one and check it out. I have not checked that. Neuro rehab. Ooh. I have a little love of neuro. That my wife, that's her specialty. So whenever she can school me, I sit there and listen, because oh my God, she can school me on neuro everything. And you learn a lot quick.
Check out that neuroanatomy app.
Okay. Oh, there it is. Yep.
So that is designed by a neuroanatomist who's also a physical therapist, a clinician.
Oh, look at that right there. Yeah.
You can click on different levels of the brain and spinal cord. There's a rotating 3D animation. You can zoom in, zoom out, learn by slice. So slice.
There it is. Learn by slice, learn by track.
Learn by track.
What? This is this is, and so many of our students are visual learners.
Absolutely.
They need to get that visual, and you can see I'm tactile and visual. I
Yeah.
constantly move, but I'm
Yeah.
watching
Yeah.
this 3D slice, and it looks like it's either a cat or an MRI that has just been brought in.
Yeah.
And yeah, that could be extremely useful
Right.
to anyone trying to learn.
Yeah. Yeah. And we also realized that again, that could be the deep end for somebody. So there are embedded short, and I'm talking 2, 3 minute explainer videos
Oh,
that the
nice.
that the author of the app recorded and uses animations, cartoons, approachable language. So if somebody's like, I just don't get that section of the central nervous system, it'd be nice if I had a video. Oh, there's already one embedded in ATU. I know as a faculty, I can trust the author and everything is there. So when you look at the suite, we term each of those buckets, each of those icons as apps. They are not separate apps that you have to download or pay for. Once you have access, you get everything. You get right now in ATU, there's 38 apps. We're working on 39 and 40 and 41. And we add those, the flexibility, we can add those kind of at any time and push those out. And so we can scale up to new evidence, add new things, get feedback. So,
Which is the cool part, because so many people, and I can say I do it too. I've done YouTube videos for my students for years.
yeah, yeah,
But do you have time to upscale it when the new evidence comes out? It's like, oh my God, I forgot about that. I've got to change
yeah,
that video now.
yeah. And you have a full plate already. And many of the people listening have full-time jobs with full clinical, schedules, answering to multiple different supervisors and people. So let us do that work for you, right? I'm at this point, we've talked about my journey now. I'm at a point where I've got the content knowledge and the experience, and I am your voice to our developers, our tech people. We've got a studio here in Southern California that rivals anything you're going to see in Hollywood with I think it's called an infinity screen, and
So the
high.
Avengers are there. We're good to go. I can meet Iron Man. I can meet the whole.
Right.
Sorry, it's
Not
the
Marvel. I
Marvel geek
know.
coming
Yeah.
out in me.
Yeah, we've got all the tools in place and we've got some podcast rooms and really fun stuff up there. So, you're like, you know what, Chris, ATU folks, I need this video on X. Great. Let's talk about it. And we get it on our list and we find a skill expert to do that. We find a model. Most of the people that you see in the videos, live models, either they have the condition or disease or, they're a simulated patient, but it's not a static stick figure or a mannequin or something like that. So they can see it, happening kind of in real time, hands on with a skill expert. So
I also like how ATU has been very receptive. I'm a
oh yeah,
phasic today. Everybody work with me. Sorry, guys. Receptive. When you see a video, go,
yep,
the angle's not perfect. Is there a way? So, for example, we've been talking about a taping procedure that might be good to get redone. And
yeah,
the first thing you said was, yeah.
let's do it.
So I can appreciate and tell my listeners, yeah, you see something that is either a missing, you'd like another view. You guys are so receptive at going, yeah, let's jump in the studio, find a day, get somebody to do it.
Yep.
So it's better represented for the profession, which improves my students' outcomes.
Right, right. Honestly, we are all educators. If you look at our About Us team page, we're all educators. We're all faculty in athletic training, in PT, in OT, we've got a psychologist, we've got a pharmacist, we've got people across the spectrum, including clinical practice. You don't see computer design experts or studio production kind of things, right? We're all like, ooh, we're clinicians first, we're educators first, Ooh, but let's dabble over here, much like Eli, you have done with the podcast and bringing really great experts and guests to the masses. That's our heart is education and clinical practice. So if anyone out there is like, I need this, or wow, I've had faculty reach out just on grammar stuff, which I'm grateful for, and a misspelled word, right? And I let the tech team know. They make the change, refresh the server, it's updated, within 2 or 3 days, if not sooner. There is no other resource, right, that we use, anything textbook related, that has the capacity to do that because they've got to go through printing cycles and things are outdated, or you've got to buy the new edition of whatever textbook you're using, and as soon as it's printed it's outdated. So we've got some nice tools in our toolbox.
I, I gotta agree. I mean, this toolbox is very thorough. Love it. And you actually brought one up that really, since 2020, has hit the fan, so to speak, been thrown at the wall and stuck.
uh,
Mental health. So the
yeah,
fact that you have somebody in house that's their specialty, because I hate to say, as athletic trainers, we dabble,
yeah,
but we do. I mean,
yeah,
my degree way back when from Humboldt was had almost a minor in psych because we
mm,
took so many psych classes, but
sure,
it's not like I retained everything.
yeah, yeah,
So to have this as a tool in my tool belt
yep.
is kind of nice.
Yeah, and a little bit of history behind that particular app. In the suite, you'll see that it's an orange color, which is a signal. We've identified those as more of like a classroom app or a didactic app. So that one is not video based. There's not a lot of hands-on psychomotor skills in mental health, but it's a resource guide, right? It's text driven, but it's bulleted text. This was actually authored by a psychologist who is a director of a student counseling center at a major well-known university, and I don't want to identify them, and in case there's any sort of any conflict of interest or propriety or whatever. But
Of course.
so he's director of a counseling center at a college university. So he's a PsyD, doctor of psychiatry, and a physical therapist. So the other author was a physical therapist. So the two of them got together talking like, what conditions do we see? What do I need to know? What are the red flags, signs, and symptoms? What I need to worry about referrals? And how would physical activity be impacted by this condition? How may it be improved by physical activity? What are some of those key points? So that's a beautiful app. And then we've just added the simulation component to it.
Which we haven't talked about,
We haven't, yeah.
the blue apps. I mean,
The blue, yeah.
you've got the orange-ish apps, orange
Yep.
reddish, and
Yep.
then we've got the blue apps over the on the right, which is e-learning and simulations. Which,
Simulation.
I mean, you see how tactile I am. I can't even
Yeah.
sit and talk to somebody without moving. So
Right.
I love that right side, that blue side. So if you could talk
Yeah.
about
Sure.
especially the simulations, as we were talking about with mental health and the PT.
Yeah. Yeah. So the simulation side, we've got, I think there's 13 of those apps, again, kind of air quotes on apps. 25 on the orange side, that's where you're going to find I think we're getting close to 7,000 videos in that video library that you
Holy
have access to.
moly. Oh my God.
Right.
7,000.
And it's growing all the time. So that's on the orange side. I think now in HEU, the 13 apps simulation, there are over 200 e-learning sims. And so I'll call myself out as I evolved as an educator. I was like, I am so good at teaching skills, man. You students can do these assessments, special tests, and you can do exercises, and you can do, taping procedures, and you can do spine boarding and blah blah blah, right? You're great. And then I send you off to the preceptor in clinical education. I'm like, okay, you fix it. You put all the dots together. You make sense of it, right? Because I live in a fantasy world in the classroom where everything is perfect. The lights are always on, the temperature's always the same. You don't have people screaming and coaches and blah blah
Oh,
blah,
coach
right?
screaming, I need my running back. I
Exactly.
need my pitcher. Yeah.
Exactly. And that is the value of preceptors. So shout out to all you who are serving as preceptors. You are the backbone of entry level education. The magic cannot happen without you
And the future.
and the future.
Yeah, they bring in
Absolutely.
the future, definitely. Anyway,
Yeah.
sorry.
Yeah. Yeah,
Keep
no.
going.
So the simulation side, as I evolved as an educator, understanding that if I just teach these concepts and skills, but students do not have the opportunity to apply them, we've lost the game. We've lost the opportunity. And looking at the science of teaching and learning, that skill that I just taught them, if they don't use it, they're going to lose it, right? It's like, great. Oh, you did that exam, you passed the practical, awesome, perfect, but then you never use it again. You've lost it. So there is the application piece of skills and content are so critical, and that's what we've designed the simulations to do. So those are organized again by content area, acute care, emergencies. So emergency care, there's on-field care sims, there's range of motion, there's physical agent modalities, there's mental health, there's orthopedics. There's a bunch in there to explore, but we've designed them also for the development of the student. So there is a low level e-learning called micro learning, and that's just simple quizzing, right? So if you look at one example might be assistive devices. There's assistive devices simulations, and micro learning is the lowest level. That's just simple recall, right? It's like, okay, I taught you how to fit crutches. I taught you how to use a wheelchair, other canes or whatever, you know. Now here's a quiz, and you're going to go online through the computer. Again, students love it because it's like, ooh, I'm playing a game. Yes. And,
Woohoo! Yeah,
right?
let's do this.
Yeah, it's not
Yep.
a paper, pencil, in class quiz. They can do it. They get feedback when they get a right answer and a wrong answer. It's developmental. They get this formative feedback. They get to the end, they get a score. They can submit that to their teacher. They can do a screenshot of it. It records their scores, right? And this is why it's important that students have access because the system will record their progress. They can take these as many times as they want, which is this is low stakes. This is learning. This is not this high pressure, you got to pass to stay in. This is like, okay, you didn't get 80%. You got 20%. Let's go back and review where you missed it. Let's take it again. Let's see if you learned, you know. So there's over 200 of those different types of scenarios. And it does move on from just micro learning recall, like, how many inches out from the side of the foot do I place the crutch tips? Right. Simple recall.
Don't ask me questions like that. I just do it. I don't remember.
Yeah, because you and I, Eli, it's become so inherent, right? It's been so ingrained. We've done it so many times. We've got that 10,000 hour skill expertise at doing it, but students don't. So there is that level. There's also mini sims.
Now I got a question about the mini sims.
Sure, yeah.
Is this anything like the old scenario setting that we used to test for in the boards when we had those
Yes.
3 tests from Hades?
Yeah.
Oh man, I
Yes.
loved what they call
Yes.
them back then, written sims, right?
Written sim.
Written
Yeah, with the
sims.
highlighter.
Oh
You
God,
highlight
yes,
your
that was it.
answer.
Highlight the magic marker,
The
highlight
magic.
the answer, and it tells you if you're wrong when you drag that yellow marker over it. Not
Right.
that I ever saw a wrong on
No.
my no,
No. No. Right. Yeah.
very cool. Mini sims or
Yeah.
written sims. Love it.
Yeah. So those are patient-centered scenarios that move the student beyond just do they know the content, right? I can point out what that, let's say, crutch or cane is, but now it's like, ooh, you got this patient and they're complaining of this. These are their signs and symptoms. Let's do, like, say, manual muscle testing. Where would you place your hand stabilization? Where would you place your resistance hand? Okay, on this image, drag and drop where you would place that, or use this slider to position the patient in the right position to test, knee extension. So it's decision making, it's clinical reasoning. They're applying what they learned in the Orange apps, and they get to try it out in a safe environment, safe for them, safe for the patient, the athlete, before we send them out into the real world. I need to make sure that student A is competent, at least to a base level, a minimum competence before I send them to Eli and and say go, right?
which is good because back in our day, and you alluded to it way back in the beginning, we might have been a high school student. We might have been our first year in our clinical athletic training program
Yeah.
and just sent out.
Yeah.
And I know that was my setting, that was my program.
Mhm.
And I remember being sent down 90 miles from Humboldt State University out in the middle of the Redwoods to a local high school.
Yeah.
And knowing what I know now, I had no business, absolutely
Right.
zero business sitting there taking care of those kids. I
Yeah.
mean, I got some of it right. And when I
Mhm.
wasn't sure, I was smart enough to go, let's send you to the local clinic because we
Mhm.
didn't have a doctor within 90 miles. So it
Yeah.
was, or excuse me, 40 miles.
Mhm.
So it was okay, drive up because I don't know.
Yeah. 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 So these attempt and have been successful at preparing students for that, helping faculty identify those gaps. And for those listening that teach in entry level professional programs in athletic training, there is a CATIE standard, part of the CATIE standard, that talks about our assessment of student readiness for independent practice. How do I measure that? Before, I'd be like, well, I don't know, they passed my class, so is that good enough? Right? Or they passed a practical exam, but now I've got a tool that I can say, oh, with this student, they went through these simulations. Maybe they took it 10 times, but they eventually got to the minimum passing point of 80%. I am comfortable that they have the minimum readiness to then engage in clinical practice. And then the preceptor supervises them, etc. So mini sims are shorter. They're probably maybe 20 minutes or less. 20 minutes is kind of the a benchmark that we just share, but most of the time it might be 3 minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, depending on the student, right? And then we do have macro sims, which are much more comprehensive in nature. In ATU, you only see them in orthopedic sims. So there's upper extremity and lower extremity. And those would be situations like we have an athlete, I think there's one in there example of a college freshman baseball pitcher comes in, we do this segmented step-by-step assessment, then we do some interventions, then 2 weeks pass by, they come back in, we do a reassessment, do we want to make any changes, right? So it involves multiple stages of the person's experience. So that would be like that second year student or a more advanced student would be appropriate for those macro sims. So 3 levels of simulation activities depending on where the student is in their learning.
That's helpful for any educator and or
Yeah.
student. I mean that
Yeah.
because you can build. That's fantastic. And I didn't know about the macro one because I haven't delved,
Dovin.
whatever. Thank you. Yeah, we'll
Yeah.
create some words today. Why not?
Yeah.
Into the ortho as much. I've gone more into the special tests,
Yeah.
apps, the acute care,
Yeah.
evidence-based taping again, EB. That gives me a chill when I say that word. But
Right.
as far as educating, and
Yeah. And
like you said, we're all educating no matter
yeah.
what, even if it's in the clinic. These are
Yeah.
fantastic. I love
And
them.
even those simulations, you can play them as an educator in class. Use this as a classroom activity, a classroom discussion. We've used clickers and doing that kind of stuff, or poll everywhere or whatever, or simply just, okay, everybody raise your hand.
Yep.
So you as the teacher, you have access to it, pull it up in class, show it. We're going to play the, range of motion sim for shoulder. Great. Okay. Here's our scenario. We do it together. We read it together. We get to the one question. We read the question. Here's the answers. How many of you say A? Hands go up. How many of you say B? Couple hands. C, D. You can choose it, and then you can see the feedback, and then you can be like, oh, where did we mess up? Where was our gap? And then you can remediate as the teacher in the moment. So that's a
So
fun
I'm
idea.
sorry, you see a confused look on my face. You said you had hands raised. I'm not used to that. They
In your
usually
classroom?
cower
Oh,
and hide. They sit on their hands,
yeah.
and then I just look at them. Okay, yeah, you lose. What's your answer?
Yeah.
So
You can do that as well.
yeah,
So you can say, okay, student A, this is your question. Student B, get ready, you're up next. Student
yep,
C,
yep.
you know, And as we saw, we actually did this at the sports medicine competition last year when I was in the auditorium, and I played a couple of simulations. Eli, I will tell you, as somebody who's been an educator for a long time, I was shocked at how engaged high school students were on a Saturday afternoon, after doing the competition and coming to hear, this old guy talk about ATU. They were so into it. They were competitive. They were cheering when people got things right. They were like groaning when somebody got something wrong. But again, I could say, "Oh, you didn't get it wrong. Here's the right answer." Now you know for next time and take it again. So, it can really be an engaging experience.
That's awesome to hear because I didn't get to witness that
Yeah.
component. I was a little busy running around taking care of business.
Yeah, it got
But
loud in there. It
it
got loud.
that's cool to hear. That's cool to hear that they were that engaged. I mean,
Yeah.
this is from a teaching perspective, as a person that's been teaching a high school level, so
Mhm.
not collegiate, not undergraduate,
Yeah.
not um, the professional, a high school level. This is engaging to almost anyone, and you can really tailor, taper
Yep.
down,
Yep.
taper up,
Yep.
um,
Yep.
which for any educator is key because you're always shooting for the middle, but
Yep.
you never know what the middle is from week to week or lecture to lecture, lab to lab. So
Yeah.
this is
Yeah.
really awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. So, yep, it is cool.
Can't argue. Yep.
I can't argue. I get to have fun with it, bring my education content knowledge, and then helping teachers use it, right? That's the faculty support and development, getting exposure to it, getting colleges, professional programs, and I'm bringing the high school community to the table at ATU saying, we have got some really top-notch ROP, CTE programs out there that need these resources. That the challenges in that classroom versus in undergrad, community college, post-professional, graduate, they're all the same. The challenges are there. How do I get my students to engage? How do I get them to read the material? Well, I'm going to use these modern technology to my advantage. They like to be on their phones. Awesome. This works on phones, tablets, computers, wherever. They're on
I
the
forgot
internet.
to ask that. Thank you for telling us.
Yeah, yeah, and it's platform agnostic. I've learned that term. So it's like Apple, Android, Samsung, anything out there.
Platform agnostic. I got to remember that
Agnostic.
term. Love it.
Yeah,
Love it.
across the board. So let's use what students' motivations are. They want to learn. They're coming to our class. They want to get better, and so let's tap into what that is. Across the board, whatever level you're teaching at, ATU has got ability and got some resources for you. And from a financial perspective, teachers, educators, complimentary access for you, right? We are all
Ooh,
educators.
nice.
Yep. So start using it in your classrooms, embed it in your lectures, pull up videos, show them in class. Yeah, maybe you even demonstrate it, but I will out myself again. I am not the skill expert at everything we have in athletic training, clinical practice, the thousands of skills, but I've got a tool, ATU, at my fingertips, literally on my phone, that I can pull up and say, "Oh, we're gonna do wound care. We're gonna do suturing. I'm gonna show that in class. It's a minute and a half video. It's 90 seconds. I would not. I would. I would not be able to do that in 90 seconds. I don't know the skill and I would forget the terminology or I would had a bad day. I forgot to have the caffeine that day. Now I've got a resource though.
Never, never. Always have caffeine. Don't
Always
forget that.
caffeinated. But now I've got a resource that doesn't change. I've always got a link to it. I don't have to worry about the YouTube link or what's happened to me. And I know a lot of you out there can relate. I pull up a video and all of a sudden it's an ad for, cat food or it's some advertisement that I'm like, oh, wait, shoot. Where did that go? And how do I get to that right video or the
Can't
link
have the
that's
kids
broken?
see that. Wait, wait, wait. Yeah. Some things
Right.
pop up and you're sitting there going, where the heck did that come from? We don't have
Yeah.
to worry about it here. That's
Don't have to
true.
worry about it. No. Lower cost for teachers, educators, no matter what level, it is complimentary access and that access never expires. There are no strings attached to your access. When we add new apps and new sims and new videos, you still get it. as long as the internet is still the internet, you will have access to ATU.
That's fantastic because you said there that's not modern. So
No, no.
that's not how people make money or keep a business thriving. So
Well,
the fact that you guys do that for the teachers,
mhm.
because I mean, driving education, that's what we're doing.
Yeah,
That's phenomenal.
I always say when the tide rises, all ships rise. And that's what we're all about. I mean, we're in that classroom, we're in that setting, we're in that clinic. We have felt the pressure of budgets and financial challenges and the no or losing positions, closing programs. We are committed to being not one more of those reasons to be a barrier, right? We want to support that accessibility no matter what level of support the school, the program, the student, the faculty member has. And so, yeah, complimentary access for teachers. But the business side, if you want to talk about the subscription side,
you're more than happy to talk to anybody on that
one. Okay, yeah.
Take an email, phone call.
Yes, please reach out. There are subscription offerings for students, and it is really competitive and comparable to textbook pricing. In fact, even less, I would say, because when you get access, when you look at it, it's not just an orthopedic resource, or it's not just modalities, or it's not just emergency care or exercise. You've got one resource that covers really the gamut of your curriculum.
It's like having Arnheim in your hand. It really is, but more advanced because it's got everything else that Arnheim can't shove into a book.
Yeah,
Arnheim Apprentice.
We can update this, instantaneously when new evidence comes out. I know we don't like that word as much, evidence-based practice, but we can update the resource. We also hyperlink the resource in the app. So if you're like, is this just Chris and Eli saying, oh, let's put in McMurray's test, that we want that one in there? Where's the evidence behind it? You can go in there and you can find the hyperlink, which goes back to PubMed. So through the National Institutes of Health, the medical library, and it links you directly to that primary source.
So right to that journal where they posted it, where they proved it. I love that. And I've seen that over and over and over, which I absolutely love because most textbooks, well, it's the end of the chapter. And at that point you're going, what, where, what, who?
And you don't have the time or the ability to go find that if you're interested in that topic. So let's make it easier for you to access that. If you're teaching research methods or evidence-based practice or whatever, you can use ATU to help your students navigate what's good research, what's good evidence, what's not, really, again, across the curriculum. So fun.
Yeah, bam, that's right? It. Drop mic, walk away. Good stuff. Good stuff.
Yeah, so it's fun.
You look like you're having a blast, just like you did back in the day teaching. I've noticed that the last year, how it's evolved at the competition, how excited you were about really the offering. And it is, you're educating.
Yeah.
You're educating, period.
Educating. I'm an educator at heart and still have the desire to serve and support others. I mean, that's why I wanted to be a clinician in the first place, to help others and what they were doing. And wow, being an athlete, that looks cool. I want to do that. But I can support you, And so now I think, yes, the passion, the joy, the excitement, the happiness has come back, kind of where I started from many years ago. But because now I can help others, I can help you, I can help other teachers, other students navigate these concepts and learn. And down the road, 10 years from now, they're going to impact a patient and improve, and that's what it's all about, right? So really paying it forward.
Yep, that's what it's all about. Doing what we do is paying it forward at some point, whether it's clinical or education.
Yeah. Yep. Couldn't agree more.
I don't want to take too much of your time. You've blessed us with quite a bit of time already, and I've got to get ready to do what I do as well.
Yeah.
So I think we're going to call it a day right there because this is fantastic information. I can tell you this episode is not produced or paid for by ATU, just everybody. This is just two colleagues talking. but you hear it. I get passionate about things I like, and we hear that in every episode. And I really do like this app. I really do believe in this structure and how it helps the students. And that's why I really wanted to bring you on to give all 7 or 8 of our listeners, hopefully 700 or 800, but 1,000, maybe 7,000. Well, we're growing. An opportunity to check it out, hear what it's about, and again, pay it forward, because everything we do pays forward either educationally or clinically.
Yep, couldn't agree more.
Yeah. So,
great.
Chris,
thanks for the opportunity.
Thanks for being a colleague for all these years and part of my network. Thanks for this. We appreciate you and everything you're doing right now at ATU and getting the word out. So thank you.
Sure.
And we'll see you soon, hopefully. And everybody else, thanks for listening to Wrap It Up Sports Medicine and More. We'll see you next time. Have a great day. We hope you enjoyed this episode. Want to make sure you hear every episode? Remember to like, follow, and subscribe to our podcast. Don't forget to share our podcast with your colleagues, family, and friends. Your support will help more people find and enjoy our content. Wrap It Up Sports Medicine and More is directed by Eli Haller. It is produced by Gabriel Haller. Our theme music is by Coma Studios via Pixabay. The views and opinions expressed on this podcast are solely those of the contributors. Want to know more about us? Visit us at wrapituppodcast.com. That's with 1P, wrapituppodcast.com. Wrap It Up Sports Medicine and More is a production of Halleck Consulting, LLC.